Welcome to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. You can follow us on Facebook at Freeform Network, on Twitter at FFR Podcast. Remember, you have an email. Hit us up there at ffnquestions@gmail.com. There, we have all access. You can reply, read everything on the podcast, and let us know what the streets are thinking. We would appreciate it. And we love that interaction. So don't forget ffnquestions@gmail.com. That's where you can hit us up, request questions, autographs. I know I've gotten a couple. I don't know about Danny, Noel, maybe one, I think. But with that being said, let's get to the gang. Everybody's here. We got Daniel.
Yes, sir, man. I'm here, ready to go. I gotta cut the grass after this, so I don't know. I'm not looking too forward to finishing this podcast.
And we got Noel.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm here, relaxed, feeling good, ready to go here.
Great, everybody's here. We're here to talk your ears off, so let's just get right to it. Noel, it looks like he's been watching some Twilight Zone. It looks like the black and white one, the old school one, because there's been so many reboots and incarnations and movies. If I remember correctly, I think the first one's maybe like early 60s. Let us know what's going on. It says here you're rewatching them. How far in are you into it?
So I've actually just gotten through the season one, probably towards the end of season one. But yeah, it's like from the 60s. And Rod Serling, he came up with the idea, the concept, wrote a lot of the stories for it, and it's the black and white original version. And this is my first official time watching through it from start till now, which is like the end of season one about. And so when I first watched it, I think I was like maybe 10 or so years ago, but I just watched it like reruns here and there. I think it was like on the Sci-Fi Channel at like night or something like that. And I never really got a good grasp of the show. And honestly, back in that day, I don't know why I've done it. Like I just didn't get into it. But I've always known like it was gonna be a good show. It's one of those classic timeless shows, and a lot of people, speak highly of it. And I'm a horror fan, so I'm like, let me go back to like the roots, man. A lot of horror movies were inspired by stories of the Twilight Zone. A lot of TV shows were inspired by the Twilight Zone, and the concepts within it is just unique, man. It feels fresh. It feels original because it technically was like it was one of the first TV shows around too. It being a horror show, like it speaks to me, and it's not necessarily horror, I guess, but it's like just science fiction, right? Like just all sorts of strange stories, and some of them darker elements to it. You see some dealings with the devils and stuff like that, and certain episodes make you think, man. Like it puts things in a different perspective. Maybe I hadn't thought of before. Have you guys watched it, the original?
I have. I mean, I haven't watched full seasons, but when I was a kid, it was on TV a lot. I would watch it, and I remember the pig face people and this guy going to court telling him that people are telling him he's obsolete and stuff. Like there's a lot of groundbreaking episodes, but those are the two that popped to my head right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of even
Yeah.
like cameos of young actors. I did watch a few of them. Like Andy said, that pig one jumps out to me. It's probably the first season, so maybe that's the one I kind of remember the most. But yeah, there are some good OG Twilight Zone episodes. I didn't really watch too many. And even the new one, the remake one with that famous director now, the
Peel or Keel, I
Peele.
forget which
Yeah,
one it is. Yeah.
yeah, one of those
Jordan
guys.
Peele, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's the Jordan Peele one. Yeah, man, that's a good show too.
I mean, it's been brought back
Yeah.
numerous times. They had one with Costanza,
Really?
like
Okay.
in the 90s, early 2000s when UPN was around. I remember
Oh
seeing
yeah.
a reincarnation in the '80s, like on syndication. It was like I think on Channel 9, and I know there was movies made. I think in the '80s too.
And then wasn't there a Forrest Whitaker version too in the
And
2000s?
yes, there might have been. I just remember Costanza seeing commercials of Jordan Peele, and there might be. Yeah, I think you're right. The Whitaker one too. Maybe like on Showtime or some goofy shit, like on cable. You might be right.
Yeah, that was the one I was more familiar with. I had to watch the Costanza one now, man. Jason Alexander's the actor's name.
Yes.
I had to watch that one. But man,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
like
I've
on
watched the Jordan
UPN.
Peele one. Oh man, yeah, those good old days of UPN, dude. I remember
Yes.
wrestling on there too.
Uh-huh.
Uh, yeah, no, good times. But yeah, going back to the OG one, man. It's just got good concepts that are make you think and are very there. One in particular stood out, and it was kind of a cool like plot twist at the end. It's an episode, and the spoilers for those that, I mean, it's been out for 70 years, man. You guys can watch it. Um, there's an episode where this guy is in a scuffle, and then it ends up like he died, and he gets up, and this guy comes around, and long story short, they kind of make a deal, and they're like, "Hey, man, we'll give you everything you want." Like, and he finds out like whatever he wants, material wise, will be given to him. So he gets a pen. He was like a shady character. He died because he was a bank robber, and the cops finally caught him, and it was like a shootout, and then he ended up dying. So he's not a good guy by any means. But yet, nonetheless, he gets a penthouse. He gets all the women he wants. He gets all the money he wants. He's got all the liquor, all the good stuff that he ever wanted in his life. He's got it. And when he's like, yeah, spice up things a little bit, like give me like a casino or poker or something. And so he starts gambling, and he wins every single one. And he starts getting like, oh, this is kind of boring. Like I'm just winning and constantly winning. And then there was one where he gets like all the women in the world he's ever wanted, the hottest women, but he just kind of get bored of them. And he tells the guy, and the guy's like, I made this agreement. He tells him, well, what can we do? Like, what do you want? What do you need? He's like, well, I just need something to spice up my life. He's like, oh, do you want to like do what you used to do? You used to rob banks? He's like, yeah, let's do that. And he's like, and then he's like, but would I get caught? He's like, no, probably not. And he's like, unless you want to, do you want to get caught? And he's just like, essentially anything he wants, he can get. And so he's like kind of like the god of his world, of what he wants to do. But he realizes like it's just not fun for him anymore because it doesn't feel real. It's like when he was alive, there were consequences and it was real. And now that he's dead and, in this place, which he believed was heaven for the longest time. And at the end, he's like, man, I don't feel, like this is too much, it's too good. And I'm not, I want to be alive again. And he's like, why am I in heaven? He tells the guy at the end. And the guy's like, oh, no, you're wrong, man. This isn't heaven. This is where the other people go. Essentially, just trying to say it's hell, right? And he made a deal with the devil or whatever, and he's in hell, and he's just suffering for eternity through, in a weird way, getting everything he ever wanted, but he's going crazy because he everything he wants, he wins. There's no consequence, there's no loss, and nothing. So at the end of the whole, I was like just really deep in thought. I'm like, man, ended up being hell, but it seemed like heaven. And that made me think, like, what is heaven like then? If everything you ever wanted you get in heaven, let's say that's what that is, and would you be bored? And I started thinking about it, like, what would I want? What would I get? And then I kind of came to the realization that everything he wanted was material, and he didn't have anybody really that he loved or anybody in his life. It was just him, a bunch of strangers, strange women, strange people. It wasn't a good time. It was a good time for a while, but not forever. And he got through with it really quickly. And so it made me think like, okay, then what really matters and what heaven will more likely be is around the people you love, and just that, itself is worth an eternity with. And all the other material stuff that we waste our time on, it's just that, a waste of time. So
I've had this type of discussion with a coworker where he thinks right now what we're going like he basically said we're in hell right now. And I'm just like, I don't know about that, but that's his philosophy, or that's what he believes in right now. And because he doesn't understand why all this bad stuff's going on. Like kind of like the opposite is like this guy keep the episode he keeps whatever he gets, but ultimately like there's no purpose. Like it's just you get bored, and that's why you do stupid shit. And he's like I think at some point, yeah, that's when you find out like if everything's going your way or you're like mega rich, which I wouldn't mind having that problem, but like what are you doing, because yeah, I think life would get boring unless you have to find some type of purpose.
Yeah, man, that's a wild concept, like to wrap our head around is that this would actually be hell, what we're living in right now. And nah, that seems like kind of a stretch. I don't think this is hell, but I feel like this is kind of like some kind of purgatory for that in between the real heaven, But I don't know. I mean, it does seem kind of like the world is going, especially right now. It feels just like it's going through a harder time, maybe than in the past. And I think part of that is that we're getting thrown at us with social media,
Mm-hmm.
some bombardment, whereas maybe other people and it's quick. So there was like a lull in between the next bad news, which there always was more to have. Just like right now, like this world, there's if you look for bad news, you're gonna find it. Like there's always something going on that's unfortunate and just tough. But in between that lull, you get like good times. I would hope, right? Like I don't know.
That's what I'm saying with
I don't
this
know.
show, like the shows like um uh the Twilight Zone, and like I don't know if you ever seen Outer Limits, and like I think most recently like Black Mirror. That shows it gives you some insight. I know Black Mirror, like you're talking about social media. Like I think Black Mirror did one on social media, and like it was an interesting take on it, like with the social credit score. Um, and that's why these shows are like that's why they keep getting remade, because they give people it makes people think. Sometimes you watch TV just to veg out, but stuff like that. They got some pretty good writers, and they offer they're presenting some food for thought.
Yeah, no, for sure. Especially the OG one. It's like I said, those concepts like they feel fresh. And I've been into this stuff for a long time, dude. Like you mentioned some of the good shows there, Outer Limits and all that. And I watched Tales from the Crypt, Beyond
Yeah,
Belief.
Tales from the Crypt. Yeah.
There's so many cool shows that I feel like get a lot of inspiration from this one. So it's good to finally be watching it, man. And really quick, I wanted to say I finished watching two different DC shows, Doom Patrol and Titans, and they roughly started around the same time. I think it was like years ago, right before COVID. It was like 2019, I think, and I think and then Titans came after because one of the characters from Doom Patrol had like a crossover between Titans, and so those two shows were going around the same time, but set in the same universe, obviously. DC show, and um, HBO Max backed, so it was what propelled HBO Max in the beginning. They had Swamp Thing, Doom Patrol, Titans. Those were all the things that were thrown on there to get people to sign up for. I think it was DC Universe, and then it switched over to HBO Max. So they're still on there. I would give them both like around, I would say like a 7.8, 7.9 ish area.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end, they had their shortcomings for Titans, but it was still a good show overall. And Doom Patrol was like very strange, weird show. Definitely cool to watch. It has a lot of weird characters. They're kind of like the outsiders, like they're just the outcasts, the forgotten, the people left in the comic books that you really don't hear a lot about. And it's got it's got Raven, got Beast Boy. Or I'm sorry, not Raven, Beast Boy. I'm talking about Titans now. Doom
Yeah.
Patrol's got the Robot Man. It's got this just like this strange character, Starfire as well, was in Titans. But anyway, it's one of those shows that I think it's underrated. Like, you don't hear about it too. The writing's good, the cast is great, and they all do well. Brendan Fraser's in Doom Patrol. He plays the Robot Man, so you hear his voice, and he's obviously one of the, I guess, veteran actors at this point. He's been in the business for a while. And just wanted to do a quick shout out. If any of you have ever seen it or read the comics, I think you might enjoy it.
Yeah, I kind of remember Doom Patrol. They were saying it's real raunchy or kind of weird.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more crude, like rated R type stuff, but the quality's there. The quality's good. It's just, yeah, it's more off the cuff. Just anything can happen all over the place, and it is for mature audiences, I'd say.
Oh, good. Sounds good.
But yeah, man, shifting it over to you. So yeah, I heard the news about OJ, man. Looks like he passed away. Was it last week?
Yeah, yeah. He just recently passed away. I didn't even know he was sick, to be honest. So it was kind of all of a sudden for me. Not that I'm a huge OJ fan, or even when he was in his football days before he got into killing. But to me, I was just like, wow,
He was acquitted of that then.
well, yeah. Well, that's what I wanted to bring up. Now that he's dead, do you think uh, people who maybe hid the truth or helped them get acquitted, is any new things going to come to light? Because a lot of people, I would say, uh, I don't know. I think a lot of people would think that he is guilty. So I'm not sure if anything is going to come out from that, and people are going to talk about it some more.
I don't think so. I mean, there's already a documentary that came out where this guy claims that OJ hired him to kill him, but he didn't kill him, but he hired somebody. And then there's that interview he did where he goes, "If I did it," with that book publisher lady that was gonna air on Fox, but they scrapped it. But it's on YouTube. Um, I I don't know. Have you ever seen those? The "If I Did It" interview it's pretty interesting. But he kind of like messes up, like kind of like where he says what I did and this and that. But I don't know. Have
Yeah.
you guys ever seen that?
Yeah, I do remember seeing that on YouTube, or at least a few clips of it. And yeah, it's like you said, like he spoke about it like in the past tense, kind of
Yeah.
like if he actually did it. But yeah, I mean, anybody that grew up around our age, you were glued to the TV during the whole OJ trials. The if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. And everything. It was just something that happened,
Yeah.
and it was one of those where there was a lot of in court footage of the whole thing, so people were glued to their TVs.
The night where he was in the Ford Bronco driving,
Yeah,
I think we were in high
yeah, we
school.
were at
That was
work.
summer school. I was at Jewel working, and I come home, and then I remember I wanted to watch the Bulls game because I think they were in the finals that year. And my dad's like, they keep showing OJ driving on the expressway. I think he's going to Mexico. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I look up, and there's like a split screen of the Bulls playing and the White Bronco on Channel 5. And they kept going back and forth. Like they couldn't make up their mind to show the NBA finals or OJ. And then you go to every other channel, like they had OJ on TV. And I remember like I just want to watch the game, but it was like crazy that night. And then the other night, that's what I remember most. And then the court, and then the judgment thing at the end. Guilty, not guilty. We were working, and then like some guy brought like a little portable TV, and we're all there watching it. Even the bosses are there watching it with us. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a time in history. And yeah, for whatever people think, I was just curious if any more news is going to come out now that he passed away. Not that I don't think anybody was holding anything back, but usually things come out after people pass. Uh, the other thing just happened recently is we just had that solar eclipse, and it got me thinking, man, what did people think before they even knew it was an eclipse and this thing was passing by? Did they feel like the end of the world was happening? You know, the sun was exploding. Like, I'd be curious what people thought back in the day before they knew it was an eclipse.
Well, this guy at work did mention to me, like, back in the day, they were selling all these glasses. Like, how do you know if you really go blind? And I'm like, well, go watch. He's like, I'm not gonna watch. And then I'm like maybe it's like all BS, but you didn't repeat. I remember nobody ever reported like mass blindness and all this other crap. So he goes, how do you know it's real? You know?
It's hard to say going so far back, but I mean, civilizations known about stars and the galaxies and all that for a long time, and it's kind of mind-boggling like how they did know. I don't think that can be quite explained, but they did know. Like, I'm pretty sure they knew about the eclipse and all that, um, because it's not a coincidence that the pyramids and the not the ruins, but like the what is it called? I
The
guess it's a pyramid
Mayans?
too, right? Yeah, the Mayan one and the Aztecs and all that. They all had them strategically placed in places where I think where like
Like
the solstice
constellation, right?
happens and all
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
and like light hits a certain way. Like they knew stuff much more than I do, man. Like they would probably make me look retarded, man. Like honestly, they knew so much shit, but they obviously didn't know everything. But the stars and stuff they knew, and I think one person a video that they had a lot less light pollution, so they were able to see a lot
Yeah.
more of the stars. And then they often use the water to reflect the sky to the stars, and they would map it out that way too.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You know, that the Mayans and the Aztecs and all them guys, they knew so much mathematics and the solar system, and you know, maybe they didn't know the ins and outs and why things were happening, but they did have somewhat of a grasp of it. But what about even pre that, man? What about like cavemen and stuff like that? Like, did it like break out to pandemonium? Did people start, you know, rioting and beating up each other, and they're just like, holy shit, and the world's ending. Let me go eat this guy's steak because it's gonna end in 5 minutes anyways. The sun's going away.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I bet back then, yeah, they'd
nah,
probably
I think
start
they were
making
focused.
sacrifices and shit.
I think they were focusing on other stuff. They weren't worried. I mean, realistically, how long did this eclipse take? Like an hour, if that.
Yeah, I think it was a 2 hour. It was a 2 hour event, and the total eclipse portion, I think it only lasts like 5-10 minutes, or if that. It was something
Yeah, it
like that.
was like, yeah, like it didn't last. Like I don't think they even noticed. Um, I think they were too focused on surviving, and then going back to like um the Mayans and all that. There were humans sacrificing during those solar eclipse.
Right.
Um, and then I don't know about the Egyptians and all that. I don't think they had slaves. So I don't know I don't remember reading about them sacrificing, or and
Right.
then other civilizations. I don't know what they were doing in Africa or South America, right? And what's funny when it comes to all that, it's always like North America, Central America, and South with all the human sacrificing, but you don't see that in other part. You didn't see that like in the Middle East or the African continent or with the Asians. Um, from what I'm thinking right now about when the solar eclipse. I think the Europeans were more thinking like the world is ending, because that was always in their they're always in their thing, doomsday people.
I mean, it's possible back in like caveman days, they probably were so primitive they thought the world was ending or something. But yeah, I think if you're talking about any kind of civilization, like humans have come together, they speak a language, communicate. I think by then they're so smart, they know what's going on, right? Like they know why that the moon's passing in front of the sun. They know it's getting darker. Just like when clouds pass in front of the sun, that it gets darker or whatever. You're not like, oh, the world's gonna end because it got a little darker. You kind of know roughly, like, oh, this and there's the sun's light is being blocked. They had sundials, so they knew how shadows worked. They're like, this much shadow means it's this time and all that. So, you know,
Yeah, no, I guess to that, yeah, for sure. They must have had somewhat of an idea, and hopefully it didn't break out into any kind of pandemonium or ruckus.
One more thing to advance, talking about knowledge. So look what is going on in the United Emirates. You guys heard, right? So they shoot all this stuff into clouds to make it rain, right? So they did this one, and I think nature fought back or said we're not cloud seeding, I think is what it's called. Something happened, it backfired, and now Mother Nature is just like, it's fucking rained. They got a whole year's worth of rain in like 2 days. Did you guys hear about that? So like the desert is like being flooded right now. In the United Emirates, like their downtown, everything is their malls, it's all under flood. They had like major rain because
Is
they
that
were
by Dubai?
yeah,
what
like
was it?
Dubai and all that
Okay,
in the
because
Middle East.
yeah, I did see Dubai was having record rains or something,
Yeah, that's because
and
they
they're
were
dealing with
messing with.
flooding.
Yeah,
Uh,
they do the cloud seeding. Look it up.
oh, I didn't hear about that. Oh, okay, I just thought it was another, climate change,
Nah.
article or something like that, and I didn't really know the why. But yeah, I had seen some pictures, and it did look kind of crazy, man. Like
Yeah,
whole cities were being flooded out.
it's human ingenuity, man.
Yeah, for sure. Jumping into something a little more topical here, man. My boy Tyson, man. I know he's gonna fight. What's that guy's name? Jake, or
One of the Pauls or
yeah,
whatever.
one of the Paul guys. And so I'm like, man, I haven't seen that documentary in a while, though. The one in 1995 by HBO, and that Hulu one I hadn't seen. It came out more recently in 2022. But yeah, man, I watched both documentaries, and man, Tyson had it rough, man. He came up kind of rough, really absentee parents, and he became one of the best boxers, or at least one of the boxers that kept me engaged in boxing when I was growing up. That so much that when he left, really the heavyweight division, I didn't really watch anything after he left. I would still watch like lightweight and some of the other categories just because my dad was into the Mexican boxing. But yeah, as far as heavyweight, man, once Tyson left, I didn't really pay too much attention. So really good documentaries. One of them is definitely more dramatic, showing the dramas in his life, and the other one is really fixated. The new one, the Mike one, is really fixated on his addiction to sex. It shows like him being really promiscuous with a bunch of women, his drug addiction, doing all types of stuff, coke and all kinds of craziness. So the Mike one definitely is more, they say more real, but I know Mike was suing Hulu because they were releasing it without his permission or something. There was some beef where he was suing and trying to stop him from releasing it. But both documentaries were pretty good. I don't know if you guys ever seen those.
The 95 one, is that like the movie thing, like a TV version of his life, or like an actual documentary?
No, they're both like movies, like with actors playing Mike Tyson.
Okay.
Yeah, the 1995 one is
That's the one
probably
with
the,
Spawn?
yeah, the Spawn guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one probably you're more familiar with. This Hulu one just came out 2 years ago, so I can't recall what the actor is, but he looks sort of like Mike Tyson. Um, but yeah, man, the it was really really good. The HBO one in 1995, I had seen that one once or twice before, but even the new one from Hulu, that was pretty good.
Yeah, the 95 one I saw a handful of times. It's not bad. I just remember the whole like the him growing up and then when he's an adult and like how Mike King got or Don King got in there with him and slithered his way in there and like the whole Robin Given thing, that marriage, the way they portrayed it in that TV movie um was pretty interesting. And then like the ending was like kind of weird what I recall. And then I remember a little bit after that they made the similar people made a movie about Don King. That one wasn't too bad either.
Yeah, on the Mike one, they show a little bit more of Mike afterwards, and where the HBO one, he kind of disappears a little
Yeah,
bit when Mike goes off the rails. But on the Mike um, documentary or docu series, whatever you call them for Hulu, that one, man, it shows even afterwards where Mike Tyson tried to basically kill him and jump on top of his car and do like
yeah,
some really crazy stuff. So yeah, both are really good. The mic is actually, it's obviously more newer, so looks a lot cleaner, crisp, a lot of music and stuff like that. But the HBO has that old school 1990 flair, so both really good. Definitely worth a watch if you're a Mike Tyson fan and want to catch up to him before his big fight. Um, but let's drop it over to you, Andy. And this is something that I don't really want to talk about, man. White Sox, man, terrible, man. They are bad this year. Uh, I usually I'm a little superstitious, so usually when the Sox season starts, I start wearing this one hat that I usually don't wear the whole season or the whole year, and they only had a few wins that I stopped wearing it because I'm like, maybe this hat's bad luck now because we can't get a win, man.
yeah, dude. It is it's just a horrible season, and I think as of right now, as this article, as this episode, uh, I think they only have 3 wins. Let me see here.
Yeah, I know of two. I didn't know they won a third one.
Yeah, and like people are let's see. Yeah, they have 3 wins. The three is the time of this recording. They're 3-17, and the rest of the national media and the baseball YouTube community, they're all taking note about the low attendance. They had a game the other day. They announced they had like 10,000 people or sold tickets. There had to be maybe 1,500 people at that game. They said that it's so bad that you could buy a ticket for the upper deck, the low seat, the cheap seats, and they have the whole top closed off. They just tell you to go down and sit wherever. That's how bad it is. And the marketplace, Facebook, I get ads or they're posting like get tickets and then we'll give you all this like free shit. They had like a WWE thing, Harry Potter, like just buy a ticket and we'll give you like this scarf or this shirt. And like they're just to buy the ticket. I don't even know if they're gonna have some type of like thing pertaining to that thing like Harry Potter or anything. It's bad. The team sucks. The manager sucks. The GM I think is over his head. Um, I mean, when earlier when spring training was around, one of the episodes I said this team is not going to be good, but that it was going to be a long season for the Sox. But this is brutal. Like this is their worst start, first like 20 games in like forever, over 100 years. Baseball's been around for over 100 years. Like it's their worst start ever. Um, and then they're trying to get a new stadium. Like this shit is not helping. Oh, and I was reading that they're gonna leave NBC Sports Chicago. Did you hear that? Then the Bulls, the White Sox, and the Blackhawks are leaving.
Yeah, I
NBC
did.
Sports. So
Yeah, I
now what
did
is that
read
gonna
that.
do with that? Yeah, you know.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm a diehard Sox fan. I've watched half a game this season because even watching it, Andy, it's kind of brutal. Um, but what do you expect, man? You give up a bunch of people, you traded off a bunch of people. The guys you kept were cheap guys that were injury prone all the time.
Yep.
It's just like, you know, you gotta kind of expect. You didn't really do much the offseason. It's not like you picked up a bunch of prospects. You do have some young guys that you picked up, obviously by dumping contracts, but man, that kind of thing is not going to develop for another 3-5 years, man. Before you
If
start
you're
seeing and
lucky, and
if
that,
you start
yeah,
seeing an uptrend, yeah, assuming that these guys
the
become
guys they
something good,
draft,
right,
yeah, and
right,
trade for, yeah, it's and you the farm system, it is, yeah, man, it's fucking rough, and people are embarrassed, man. They're fucking embarrassed of what is going on with this team, and the Sox, they've been around forever. The Cubs are in a rebuild year. They did it right. They got a great fucking manager. They rebuilt. They had a couple rough years, and now they're about they're gonna compete. And the Sox here are with this mediocre bullshit. Um, they were kind of half rebuilding last year, and like when they brought in Getz, it's like what a fucking mess, dude. And it's embarrassing, dude. Like I've the national media's taken note. Like I said, the YouTube community, all these baseball people I follow, they're talking about Grafal and like the attendance. Shit that's always been here about the attendance. When they're good, the park gets packed. When they suck, it gets like this. But this is brutal, and it's embarrassing to be honest with everybody. And I rather watch the UFL. I mean, I rather watch spring football than this. I like, and I rather watch old games of Notre Dame or the Bears on YouTube than this shit, man. I was watching like the first week. I watched like a game about every day, and they couldn't fucking score to save their life. And then they had some good outings with their pitchers, and they fucking couldn't score to save their life. And that's not good, man. And the Sox, Reinsdorf, should be ashamed of himself putting something out like this. Like I'd rather go to Schaumburg Boomers game or King County because this. The only thing that's keeping me where I might go because it's so cheap is like maybe Elvis. Now you get some really good seats, probably dirt cheap. And the thing I just got to worry about is the commute out there. I mean, that's how bad they are. There's a lot of promotions. I mean, for people who love free stadium giveaways, there's a lot of shit that they're giving out, and you're gonna get good seats, fucking dirt cheap, and then you can buy. I've been reading people are buying the upper set. They have it completely closed off. They're just like, how you to go to the lower deck, they used to check your ticket. They're not doing any of that. They're
right.
just
No,
just like go sit wherever, and if someone has a seat, just move. That's what I've been reading. That's what's going on.
no, I'm planning to do like you were mentioning. If the weather's nice, I'm gonna try to go to Elvis Night and a few others. I looked at their promotion schedule. It's definitely a good time if you're a Sox fan, and yeah, it's a rough year, but you want to get some swag to put in your collection or maybe some good jerseys that they're giving away. Definitely a good time to visit for a somewhat inexpensive ticket. Not cheap because they did raise the pricing because of inflation and everything, and not cheap food and beer wise, but still as cheap as it's gonna get.
And it's cashless, so you gotta take your debit or credit card. um, yeah, man. Let us know what you guys think. ffnquestions@gmail.com. The only thing I gotta look forward to is the NFL draft, and the Bulls. I think are done. They had a playing game, but they got their asses handed to them. All I got is the Bears and Notre Dame, and see what happens, man. And then yeah, man, it's just rough, dude. It's really disappointing. I'm getting older. Like I can't go through this shit no more, dude. At least you know go to the park, have a good time, and like now with a family, the expense, the commute, it's just like that's a lot, dude. That's like you got to plan that out. And then when the team sucks, it's even worse. Like you just don't want to deal with all that. Um, so I don't know. I might try to see. I like the stadium seating, the clubhouse seating up in the middle. I'm gonna see if those tickets are dirt cheap. I paid $100 for those a couple of times, and I bet you they're giving them. You probably get them for like $40 right now. And that's where you're probably gonna have one waiter serving that whole skybox. So let me see what I do. Let's make it to a little bit lighthearted. The last couple, I don't know. We went to. My wife really wanted to go to a hibachi buffet. Chinese. It's basically a Chinese buffet, and I haven't been to one in like 8, 9 years, maybe a decade. To be honest with you, the last time I went to one, I got really sick, and we went to one, and let's just say I won't be going back to one for a while again.
Really? You didn't have a good time?
I mean, it was expensive. I think it was like $18 per person. And then we had our kid with us, and all my kid ate was Jello. And I had some sushi, which was okay. They had like the hibachi. You throw in this thing and they mix it all up for you, which was okay. But I just felt like everything. I wasn't getting bang for my buck. I got some orange chicken. I got some teriyaki chicken when that was decent, and a couple ragoons. It was okay. It was just like I could have grilled at the house, and I think I would have been more satisfied.
Did anything taste off?
Nah, dude, I'm. You know what, man? I've been on this health kick the last month. I've been trying not to eat fried foods. I've been trying not to eat like a lot of carbs. I've been doing okay, and then like I usually have like a cheat meal on Saturday night, like a pizza or some shit. I don't go overboard, but my wife really wanted to go, so we went for that, and I was just like, man, like I'd rather gotten a pizza, from like a good place. And it was kind of. My wife said, like, I go, would you want to go back? Like, is this something you're like, oh yeah, let's go do this? And she's like, no, like I wouldn't do that.
What was the name of the place you went to? You don't want a name drop?
I just remember it was on Elk Grove Village, like, and it was a thing. It was a drive because everybody highly recommended it. Hibachi something in Elk Grove Village off of Bussy in like 72.
Okay.
I think it used to be like a pizza place. To be
Why
honest, when we got in there, it was kind of weird.
why didn't you go to like Benihana's or you? I mean, there you're definitely going to pay more than $20 a plate.
No,
But it's definitely an experience, and to me, I thought the food was really good at I already forgot the name I just said, but yeah, that place.
Benihana.
Benihana's. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. They had the hibachi, but then they had a Chinese buffet thing, and yeah, it wasn't like a table where they sit down and the guy cooks everything for you. You got to go stand in line to get the hibachi thing, and then you just go to your buffet stuff. And like I said, it was okay. And I don't know, and like, and then this weekend we had uh, it was my niece's baptism, so the in-laws decided to go to Golden Corral. And that was a little bit better. They had a lot more choices. The only thing is, I felt like they didn't really have steak. They just had a lot of chicken. So I had like bourbon street chicken. I had like uh not fried chicken, but like grilled chicken. Then I had some meatloaf. Then they had like pork chops. I had some ham. The ham wasn't too bad. But like it did have better selection. Um, I just don't know if I would. And it was cheaper. That was actually cheaper too. I mean, I was looking at the prices. I think it was like 15. Um, but I every once in a while I'm like, oh, let's just go check it out. But we haven't been there since like before the pandemic, so it's been a while. And I could say I wasn't disappointed, but I felt like it just had better selection, and the food wasn't that bad.
How is it post COVID? I haven't
Yeah.
gone since before, since COVID happened.
So
And are people more like grossed out, or were you grossed out?
no, so the Chinese buffet place, that place was packed. We went on a Saturday afternoon, like around 5 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock. It was fucking packed. And people were coming in. You can buy food by the pound. Like they give you like that styrofoam box thing, and people are just fucking loading it up, and they weigh it and they charge you per the weight, you know?
Okay, yeah. I've done a place like that where you buy the meat and then you take it up to a hibachi station and then
Yeah.
they prepare it the way you want.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you could that's part of the buffet is that. So they have like all these ingredients, and the Mexican chef cooks it all up for you. And then yeah, and that was okay. That place was packed. The Golden Corral we went to yesterday actually. That place, it was Saturday afternoon. Like their dinner starts at 4. We were there at 3. Dude, it was dead. I mean, I've been to that place before the pandemic. You couldn't even walk. People are waiting for food to get popped out. This place it was dead. I was shocked how there wasn't people there like how it used to be. So I don't know if people are just healthier, or they think it's expensive, or they don't like the food. But people were eating, man, and I like I said, it was okay. I would recommend it to people, but I know buffets are like hit or miss. You know, like there's a place for lunch I go to once in a while, and they have a lunch buffet, and every time I look at it, I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. Like I don't want this.
You're talking about Heavenly Bodies, or
Nah,
what you got?
nah. It's a bar, a sports bar.
Oh, okay.
They usually have like a chicken, some pasta, then they have like the cheap salad, and then like they have pizza, and they usually have like a potato or like potato wedges or something. And people are just gorging out on the pizza. That's the weird thing, you know? Like you can have that whenever, dude. Like once in a while they throw in an Italian beef. Like I'm like, if they have like you guys got Italian beef in there, like maybe I'll get that, you know? So
Yeah, yeah. In a buffet, man, I used to love them, man. I have it, but like I said, I haven't gone since the pandemic. But I like the variety. You can get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some veggies, top it off with a little soft serve dessert. It's always a good time.
yeah, this place, the Golden Corral has ices. So slushies. If you like slushies, they have them there. Kids
Oh,
were
okay.
fucking jumping off the walls on that. But that's let us know what you guys think of buffets. If you love them, hate them. I like Vegas buffets. Maybe with prime rib. I can eat prime rib and crab legs, but I don't even know if they do that. Um, let us know what you think at ffnquestions@gmail.com. And this is gonna lead us into our article of the week. So Amazon, the world famous Amazon, but with Jeff Bezos, they set the world on blaze with their website and their app and the Prime Video. They opened stores. I don't know. We all know. I know there's one in Schaumburg. I don't know where the other one's at. And then like a couple years ago, they were introducing stores where you just they called it uh,
Amazon Fresh.
Amazon Fresh, but some of the stores call it just walk out technology, where you just load up your bag and you walk out. I don't know if the Schaumburg was like that because I've never been to it, but it turns out that Amazon was really touting this, like nobody's in the store, just people stocking the shelves, and it's scanning you and all this stuff, and then you just walk out and they bill your account or bill your credit card. Well, it turned out they couldn't really get the technology to work, so what they did is they had a bunch of human contractors watching your every move to see what you're putting in your bag or your cart, and then they're actually ringing it up as you walk around, and then they would send you a receipt, and then they were touting that you would get a receipt ASAP, and some people were claiming they were getting receipts like 6 hours, 8 hours later or the next day. And that's because they had human people actually scouring. It was people in India keeping an eye on you what you shop. He goes, so Amazon's given up on its just walk out technology, which allowed customers to simply put their shopping into their bags and leave the store without having to get in line at the checkout. The tech was only available at half of e-commerce giants Amazon Fresh stores. Used a host of cameras and sensors to track what shoppers left the store with. But instead of closing the technological loop, they were with pure automation and AI. The company had to rely on an army of over 1,000 workers who are acting as remote cashiers. In other words, just walked out a highly invasive marketing ploy to get more customers to shop at its stores. They're getting a little taking jabs, saying actively undercutting local job market will be missed. Is now betting they're replacing it. The tech they're replacing, however, the FFR was more ambitious when they rolled it out in 2018. Some other stores tried it, but they were like having issues. The article goes into depth, but apparently they were watching people selling the information to Starbucks. They mentioned Starbucks, which is weird. Amazon's they were just trying to one up Walmart, Costco, and Kroger, but they replaced it with dash carts. And that seems to be working a little bit better. But like always, with this stuff, it's the tech companies do the fake it until you make it approach, and it looks like they're just gonna abandon that technology and probably do something better in its place. Me for one, I'm always leery of stuff like that. I mean, now that we even have the self checkout lanes, I was reading Walmart's gonna dump that because you know why? They found out a lot of people were stealing. They weren't catching everything. So what do you guys think? I try to avoid those self checkout lines as much as I can. This shit, I never got to use it, but now reading about it, I'm just like everything they're collecting data and it doesn't always work how they claim it to work. And they just hired a bunch of people to watch you shop. Well, what do you guys think? Did any of you guys try this or use the self checkout?
Um, I use Amazon Fresh every week, but I get it delivered, so I don't have to go to the actual store. And I don't like anything about those new ways of checking out, of making payment. I'm not a big fan of that walkout stuff. I'm not a big fan of that um, self checkout stuff. I want that tried and true old school. You go up to the cashier, you give them your stuff that you want to buy, you give your money, you get your stuff, you get the hell out of there, and you go about your day. You don't have to worry about waiting for receipts and making sure they didn't overcharge you or all this other BS. I even heard you mentioned Walmart. I heard about them wanting to do where it's like a premium membership like thing that you have to do in
Yeah.
order to get to the self checkout, and people are like, up in arms about that because they're like, we have to pay you to work for you to bring up our own stuff. And I'm like, I don't like any of these new ways, man. Like, hire some good cashiers. It's not like a ridiculously high cost anyway. It's worth it if they stop, people from stealing, which apparently Walmart's lost just an enormous amount of money through it.
Billions.
Yeah,
Billions. It came out, it was billions.
it's
And people are
insane.
ringing up wrong shit and they're taking like high end shit like that they're gonna reduce. They're trying to phase them out big time. So I don't know the people like. Unfortunately, yeah, it's just you can't trust people because they're always gonna take advantage of the system.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, if they leave a loophole, people will take advantage of it. But no, I'm against all the new ways of making payments. I just wanted tried and true, man.
Yeah, and the people sounds like a lot of people. I don't abuse the system. I scan what I what I buy and I pay for what I buy. So I don't know what you mean by peoples. That sounds like a
You
lot of
people,
it sounds like a big group of people. But being serious, yeah, man, I avoid those self checkouts. I don't care if there's a line 5 people deep. I'll wait. I go to cashiers where there's people ringing out. I don't do those self checkouts. Um, yeah, to me, it's like I'm trying to keep people employed. People see it as a convenience to self checkout because it's usually a shorter line, but all that's doing is just getting rid of another worker. So to me, I want to keep people
uh,
working, and I want to keep uh, not having to check out my own stuff. But as far as the fresh places, I had never tried it. I've seen a few, but for the last year and a half, I haven't had Prime, so it doesn't really benefit me terribly to maybe go to a store like that. Um, I've gone into that other store they have, Whole Foods, and I didn't really see too many discounts. Now, granted, it is Whole Foods and it's organic and all this, so maybe you wouldn't see the best pricing there. So I'm not sure how fresh was competitive with the local market with Kroger's, Walmart, Jewels, and stuff like that.
I don't know, because I said the only one I was aware of was in Schaumburg. I mean, out here where I live now, I don't see anything. The only thing I see is different. We got a Woodman's. You don't see that closer to the city. Um, and
I think
Mariano's, which they opened the one. I mean, it's not close, but it's not far. But like where I used to live, there was the first one of the first ones opened in Elmhurst, and that one got popular real quick, and that was pricey.
Yeah, it looks like the 3 closest ones to us, Andy, is Schaumburg, Bloomingdale, and Morton Grove.
Yeah, Bloomingdale's a high end area. Yeah, I mean Morton Grove, I don't know, and Schaumburg. It's like someone told me Schaumburg's like Naperville 2.0. I don't know if I agree with that, but uh, yeah, I mean it's
But they
yeah
do have a few. They have Norwich, Westmount, Naperville, North Riverside,
high end,
so
bro.
Oak Lawn. So they do have a few stores out there.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, man, to each their own. You like. I think I'd rather go to Trader Joe's. That's a little bit better and that better, higher quality, and it's not as expensive. Um, but again, like the technology, I guess they were really pushing on this technology where you walk in and walk out, and it didn't work. One of Amazon's, they have a couple of failures. This is going on there with them, but I mean, overall, Amazon's pretty successful. But I have been seeing people more and more people are getting upset with Amazon, and but that Prime, man, that keeps them in business. They had this big sale on a product. My wife went a little crazy. She ordered 5 of these things, and we only received 2. And then the other 3, they're like, "Sorry, we're canceling your order." Somehow something happened after they claimed it shipped. So I don't know what happened. It didn't say they got lost. They're just canceling the order and refunding it. And she ordered some shoes for the boy. She ordered a size 7, and then we got the wrong size shoes. We got like size 3. Usually that doesn't happen very often with Amazon, but I'm starting to see more and more errors creeping up, or I think people are gonna maybe they're just getting a little bit too big.
Yeah, I know for me, they started losing a step. I think they are getting too big. Too many people are going to them by default. And when you don't have good competition, it really starts bringing down your standards a little bit. So, yeah, back to the fresh. I think I would have tried it if I was in a Prime user, and as long as pricing was competitive, because I usually do my groceries at Woodman's, Walmart, or Jewel, and hit their specials that they have. Those 99 cents special stuff that they offer on their paper. But usually my ads are usually just my groceries or Woodman or Walmart.
Oh, you do go to there's a big Woodman's up there. I mean, just the cheese aisle alone, right? I
Yeah,
love
there.
it. I
Yeah,
haven't been there in a while, but the cheese aisle is awesome.
yeah. There's a Woodman like 5 minutes from my house, so usually that's our go-to for groceries.
The only thing my only knock on Woodman's is their bakery's not as good. Like compared to like Jules and some of the other like Mariano's and stuff like that.
Yeah, Mariano's. Oh man, I don't want to change your subject too much, but Mariano's. We went the other day for a soup at that like soup station.
Uh-huh.
Pretty good, man. It was a
Yeah.
pretty good soup, man, with some oyster crackers. I didn't do the steak thing that you touted about when we
Uh-huh.
last spoke, but that might have to be the next thing we try out.
And then they have all those dinners. You just heat them up at your house, ready to go. Their sandwiches ain't bad. Their bakery's pretty good. Their hot food thing, that long thing, and their soups is pretty good. Yeah, they got everything there. The only thing it's a little bit far from us, but we're gonna move the Jewel by our new house. It's I think one of the first Jewels in this area, and it's kind of dated compared to the closer Jewel we're at now. That I'm gonna miss this Jewel that's closer because they have hot foods and all this other stuff. The one over there is like the original Jewel for this area, and it's dated and small, and the bakery's not as big, so I'm gonna have to drive like an extra 5-10 minutes now.
But now, Andy, the bigger question is: by your old place, you had a taqueria around the block, and you had a good local bar. Does this new spot have that?
It doesn't have a taqueria, but it does have a bar that I could literally walk under 5 minutes to.
Nice.
It's
Good
like
choice.
across the street.
All right, man. Well, it sounds like it's a good pick, Andy. And this episode is a good pick for all you listening. But that is it, man. We got to end it. We'd like to thank you all for listening. Remember to follow Freeform Network on X and Facebook now at Freeform Network. Send in those questions and suggestions, ffnquestions@gmail.com. Visit our webpage, freeformnetwork.podbean.com. You'll see all of our old episodes, all of the other different streaming platforms. Hit that like and subscribe button, whichever one you're using. But for Freeform Radio, we have Andy.
It's all good, Andy. You want to thank you for listening. Everybody give a big round of applause for Dan. He got us back on Facebook after I think we got canceled. Maybe that's what happened when Noel's crazy thoughts. That's what I heard on the streets. But give us the likes. I think the number's pretty good. I mean, we can make it a little better, but thank you.
Yeah, no, actually, I think it was the opposite, man, because Noel's vegan topics, those for some reason were popping on Facebook. I don't know why. People love those topics.
Very true.
But we have Noel.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. If that vegan topic did do well, then maybe the next episode that I have, I'll have to do something about nutrition again.
Nice. And I'm Daniel. We'd like to thank you all for listening. We hope everybody has a great week and a great tomorrow.
That was cool, Dad.